Hello, this is Social Science Simplified, and welcome back to another video. And in this video will be part 2 of my redistricting series. As you can see, there have obviously been some changes to the ratified congressional maps since my last video. A number of states have approved those maps, and in this video we're hopefully going to cover all of those, and then in the next few videos I'm going to cover some of the states that have just started the process of redistricting. So first I'm going to start with West Virginia. So West Virginia actually lost an electoral vote during reapportionment, and in the old map you can see 3 solid Republican districts, all close to Republican plus 30, with the third being Republican plus 44. And in this new map, something very similar, Republican plus 34, Republican plus 35. So 2 safe Republican districts, however they still do lose a Republican-leaning seat. Now going back to the national overview, we can see that North Carolina has also approved their congressional map. And looking at the change from the old map, where you have 4 safe Democratic districts, 2 around Raleigh, 1 around Greensboro, and 1 around Charlotte, with 2 Republican competitive districts around Charlotte, and then 1 Democratic-leaning district, marginally competitive with Democrat plus 7, about as competitive as the 2 Republican districts, the 8th and 9th. Whereas with this new map, you see one of those safe Democratic districts shifted all the way to a Republican plus 16, or safe Republican district. You still see the 2 safe Democratic districts in the area surrounding Raleigh, and the 1 safe Democratic district in the area surrounding Charlotte. However, those 2 Republican districts have been shored up by the GOP, and the GOP has shifted those districts to have partisan leans of safe margins. However, they have created an open district with a partisan lean of Republican plus 10. Not very competitive for the Democrats, especially not in 2022. And then Madison Cawthorn's district, Madison Cawthorn now represents the 13th district, not the 14th. The 14th district, once again, an open Republican district, but only marginally competitive for the Democrats, and definitely not competitive in 2022. And then the 1 remaining competitive Democratic district, held by G.K. Butterfield, has been shifted from a partisan lean of Democrat plus 7 to Democrat plus 1, meaning that in 2022, with if trends continue as they are, with the Democrats being unpopular, this district could very easily go to the Republican Party. And there is a lawsuit alleging racial gerrymandering in North Carolina. If you are more interested in this topic, I definitely encourage that you check it out. I don't know too much about it. All I know is that there's a lawsuit alleging racial gerrymandering in North Carolina with the new congressional map. But obviously you see a shift from 4 safe Democratic districts and 1 competitive Democratic district to 3 safe Democratic districts and 1 competitive district that is held by a Democrat, and that is very competitive. Instead of being Democrat plus 7, it is only Democrat plus 1. And now you also see that the Republicans have 8 safe districts, meaning that for the next 10 years, they will control the congressional delegation unless there is some rapid partisan shift in North Carolina, in which one of these districts, which are all above Republican plus 15, suddenly shifts to the Democrats, which is very unlikely. So it is very likely that the Republicans will have control of North Carolina's congressional delegation for the next 10 years. And that is North Carolina done. And now moving on to Alabama, and not much of a change from the old map in Alabama. 6 Republican districts and 1 Democratic district. Democratic district in the old map held by Terry A. Sewell, partisan lean of Democrat plus 39. However, in the new map, that has been shifted to Democrat plus 29. Once again, not competitive at all for the Republicans, but still a partisan shift of taking 10 points away from the Democratic Party. And still 6 safe Republican seats, none of which are going to be competitive for the Democrats. Not much to discuss with Alabama. And moving on to Colorado, I'm going to come back to Texas. If you look at Colorado's old map, you have 3 safe Democratic districts, a Democratic district that is marginally competitive, partisan lean of Democrat plus 12, not going to be very competitive except in the most Republican years, and even in those years, probably not going to flip to the GOP, probably going to be a Democratic victory of around 4 to 5 points, and then 2 safe Republican districts, and then 1 marginally competitive Republican district, once again Republican plus 12. Competitive, but not very competitive for the Democratic Party, obviously not going to be a seat that they would target that much, whereas in this new map, you did see Colorado gain an electoral vote during reapportionment. In this new map, and keep in mind, this map was drawn by an independent commission rather than by the Democratic-controlled state legislature and approved by the Democratic governor. This map was drawn and enacted by an independent commission. And you see that the marginally competitive Republican district has been shifted to Republican plus 15 from Republican plus 12. Once again, either way, not going to be very competitive for the Democratic Party, but that is already a boost for Republicans, as this district is marginally safe at this point. And you see Jason Crow's district shifted from Democrat plus 12 to Democrat plus 16. And once again, not competitive at all. However, you do see Ed Perlmutter's district shifted to Democrat plus 6, making it a very competitive Democratic district, and not super competitive as in you would see it go to the Republican Party, but the Democrats will definitely have to put resources into holding on to this seat, as it is shifted from a seat with a partisan lean of Democrat plus 15 to a seat with a partisan lean of Democrat plus 6. You're definitely going to have to see the Democrats put in more work to hold on to this seat. And then you still do have the 3 safe Democratic seats, the 2 safe Republican seats, and then the newly created 8th district is an open seat, and it has a partisan lean of Republican plus 3. Now, that is a very highly competitive district, and putting a partisan lean on that, those districts can go either way. However, in 2022, if trends continue as they are, and if Joe Biden continues to have a low approval rating, chances are very high that this district will go to the Republicans. And why the Democrats would be concerned about that is if the Republican representative does well in a term, for those in Political Science 101, or if you're in high school in AP US Government and Politics, pork barreling, when a representative gets resources for his or her district, basically specific to the district, then this district could become very much more Republican if a Republican does win the open seat and represents that district very well. This district could shift more towards the right, for example, going to a partisan lean of R plus 5. Once again, not much, but this seat could go either way. However, in 2022, chances are this seat will go to the Republican Party. And then moving back to the national overview, I will cover Texas in a little bit, but first I'm going to cover Iowa. In Iowa, you saw recently approve their new congressional map, and Iowa's currently held by 3 Republicans, Randy Feenstra, Ashley Hinson, and Marionette Miller Meeks, and 1 Democrat, Cindy Axne. And in the old map, you had 1 safe Republican seat and 3 marginally competitive, and 3 highly competitive seats, Republican plus 4, Republican plus 5, and Republican plus 2. And the Republican plus 2 seat was held by the Democrat Cindy Axne. However, in this new map, you see the Republican plus 4 seat shifted to Republican plus 6. Once again, a 2-point shift, still marginally competitive, albeit not as competitive as before. Marionette Miller Meeks' district will shift from Republican plus 5 to Republican plus 4, and Cindy Axne's district, the Democrat representing the Iowa's 3rd district, does stay at Republican plus 2. Once again, there have been rumors that she could potentially run for Senate in 2022. Whether she runs for Senate or House, Iowa's 3rd will definitely be a race to watch in 2022, and it will be one of the key races to determine whether the Democrats maintain or lose their control of the United States House of Representatives in 2022. And chances are she will lose, given the fact that the 45th president did carry the state of Iowa by 9 points in 2020, and that Joe Biden's approval rating is dropping significantly. Moving on, back to the national overview, I'm only going to cover Utah and Idaho and Montana in this video, and then in the next video I will be covering Texas, because I would like to go into more depth on Texas, and this video is approaching 10 minutes already, and I don't want to keep you guys around for too long, so I'm going to go into an extra video coming out tomorrow, we're getting back to the daily uploads, about Texas's new congressional map, because it's very interesting, the Republican strategy for this new congressional map, and I'd like to go into more detail about it. But I'd like to make that a separate video so you guys don't have to stick around for too long. So moving on to Utah. And Utah has an independent redistricting commission that suggests a map, and they suggested 3 safe Republican seats and 1 marginally competitive to safe Democratic seat. However, the Republican-controlled state legislature and governorship rejected that map and did approve their own map, all with safe Republican seats, and only a slight shift. Or not, I shouldn't say a slight shift, however, a slight shift in competitiveness, going from very marginally competitive, not really at all competitive, with with Utah's 4th district, held by Republican Burgess Owens, to that same district, Republican plus 31 from Republican plus 15, albeit a 15-point shift. Not much of a shift in competitiveness, as Republican plus 15 is practically safe, just like Democrat plus 15 is practically safe. Not much of a change there. Democrats are not going to win any seats in Utah within the next decade, and chances are they weren't, even if the old map stayed in effect. And next we are moving on to Idaho. I think that's why I messed up saying Utah. I was thinking of Idaho and Iowa at the same time, and messed up saying Utah. Once again, my apologies for that. Idaho, almost called it Utah. Idaho, not much of a change. With the new map, Idaho's first, Russ Volker, Republican plus 46, and Mike Simpson, Republican plus 27. Not much of a shift from the old map, albeit Boise is more in the 2nd district now than it was before. Boise used to be split evenly between the 1st and 2nd district of Idaho, and now it is mainly in the 2nd district, held by Republican Mike Simpson, only losing 3 points for the Republicans there. Still a safe Republican seat at Republican plus 27. And finally, onto the last map we will be covering in today's video. Tomorrow I will make an upload covering Texas. And this map will be Montana's. Montana did gain an electoral vote during reapportionment, and in the old map, partisan lean of Republican plus 20. Seat held by Republican Matthew M. Rosendale, newly elected in 2020 as the old Representative Greg Gianforte, chose to run for and did end up winning the governorship of Montana. And since Montana gained an electoral vote during reapportionment, there will be an open seat, and Matthew M. Rosendale could choose to run for either the newly created 1st district or the 2nd district, which he currently occupies and lives in. He could choose to run for the seat in either district. However, I believe he will choose to run for the 2nd district, as that has a partisan lean of Republican plus 30 versus the 1st district's partisan lean of Republican plus 10. And while that district will not be highly competitive for the Democrats, it would definitely be a safer call for Rosendale to run in the safe Republican district, the 2nd. And that is all the maps I'm going to cover in today's video. In the next video, tomorrow, I will be covering Texas's new congressional map and going into details about what the GOP's strategy was with the new congressional map in Texas. And then 2 videos after that, hopefully staying with the daily uploads, I will be covering all the states that have started the redistricting process but not yet completed it. Once again, thank you for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel down below. I really appreciate your views. Thank you. Hope this video was interesting, and have a great day.